Here we go. You're returning from a friend's house in Alston sometime after midnight. The streets are pretty empty, but the temperature's nice, and you don't mind the walk at all. And then you see somebody approaching ahead, outside. You recognize this person as a guy from your writing class. You don't know him, but you think you see him regularly in class. How do you feel? Mind check, body check. What's going on? Take a look. What's going on? Body, mind. So you're on that walk. It's after midnight. Nice temperature. Usual thing. Alston, not so many people around. You see somebody ahead, down the sidewalk, your side of the sidewalk. You don't recognize the person, but you notice that he's wearing scrubs. You don't know him? He's wearing scrubs. Again, mind check, body check. How do you feel? Scott, coaching, scrubs. Once again, same street, you do a lot of street walking. You don't recognize that person down there, but you notice that he's wearing a hoodie covering his face, so you can't really see it. It's dark. Mind check. Body check. How do you feel? What you do? Last one. You don't recognize the person coming down the street, your side of the road, nice temperature, dark night, Alston, all that. But you note that he's wearing a hoodie covering his face, so you can't really see his face. As he gets closer, the street lights up his face, and you recognize him as that guy from your writing class. Mind check, body check. What just happened? How do you feel? What kind of change in your feelings do you have? A different kind of picture. You go over to Marciano Commons at 100 Bay State Road. You're gonna have lunch. You look around. There are no free tables there. You might you don't see anybody you know, but there's also no table with no one there. So imagine the situation. You've all been there. I know, I hope. Feels good. Have you been there? Okay. So you're there, looking around. You don't really know anybody there. No free tables. You have your tray. You have to figure out where to sit. Imagine it. Look around. In mind. Again, mind check. Body check. What's going on? How are you making that decision? Go there. No. There. Think of going there. What happened as you were looking there? Those people you don't know at these tables. So, last one. Different topic. Picture. You're in an introductory chemistry lab and you're told that in a minute you're going to be paired with someone else to be a lab partner. Your grades will be given jointly, just the way they were back in 9th grade. You hated it then, you're going to hate it now. The two partners on your team will get the same grade, regardless of your work together. No distinction. So you want a lab partner that's not going to pull you down, right? No matter what you contributed. So, look at the other people in your class. You've all been in classes now. Think of the other people in class. Scan any of those classes where you walked in and you knew some people, you didn't know others. You look around. Look at their faces in your mind. Look at the way they're sitting. Look at their size and shape. Look at whether they're gorgeous or not so much. Look at their gender, their race, their nationality, what religion you think they might be, whether they're worried about Yom Kippur, whether you heard them speak with a Southern American accent, not South American, but Southern, or a Chinese accent, what kind of tablet or laptop they've got, whether they're wearing Patriots gear, or the Packers, or the Giants or the Cowboys. Again, you're looking for the lab partner. You don't want somebody who's going to bring you down. You want somebody you can work with academically. Mind check, body check, both those. Do you have some hopes about which of those people you want as a partner? Do you have any hopes about the ones you really want? Oh, good. No. Not that one. You didn't know him. How do you know? How do you know? So I could keep doing this all night, but I'm not going to do it. We, in all sorts of social interactions, and the way and choices we make all the time, most of you, not all of you, but most of you have been raised to believe that you need to be and should be open-minded, that you should understand people fully as individuals and react to them that way as a human being, as an individual human being, not as part of a group, not as a stereotype, not as a category. That's who you're supposed to be, that's who you want to be, and I dare say most of you think that's who you are. You want to treat people as human beings, not as parts of groups. I'm here to tell you you can't do that. At least not to the degree you think you can. And I'm here to tell you also, if you're going to treat other people as human beings, you actually can't isolate them outside of those social contexts. And you can't drop that knowledge and not pay attention to it and really get to know them. Certainly not in the beginning without this other information. So I started with stories about safety. We, like all other animals, require some fundamental ways of being able to tell friend from foe, family from stranger, especially your age, what you spend time doing. You want to know whether the other person you're with is family or a stranger. You have to know how much to worry about that person on that dark street, make a judgment. Going to move to the other side of the street, going to get your hand on your cell phone, going to walk a little faster, a little slower. What are you going to do? You have to know whether to treat someone as familiar or with a little more familiarity. And we have to make judgments all the time before we really get to know them at all. You don't have a choice. You have to make choices about how you'll interact with people before you really know anything much about them as an individual at all. Now, different animals do it in different ways. Some do smell, some do colors, they do a lot of different kinds of signals. We human animals also have a range of ways that we recognize people and understand who they are. We have many signs we look for, but some of them are the things I named before when I was helping you look for a chemistry lab partner. All sorts of things about how we are, how we look, how we dress, what we carry, what you think my background is, where you think I came from, what my religion might be, what my gender is, what my age is, and so forth. And so we use these clues pretty quickly, especially in new settings. All of you who are first-year undergraduates here or here don't know a lot of people. You have to decide pretty quickly when you're wandering around, is this person likely to be my new BFF, or am I going to hate this person? Cognitive psychologists, different kind of psychology from what Tom was talking about. Cognitive psychologists frame a lot of their understandings of the way our minds work by saying that we're cognitive misers. Cognitive misers. To function smoothly in the world, we can't think deeply about everything we say and do, every action and reaction, every choice we make. We couldn't possibly do that. We couldn't do that and be sane and make sense and actually make decisions because there are actually too many for us to be making. So we can't get to know people very deeply before we deal with them. Being cognitive misers, what we do in the absence of better information, is we draw on our past experience. People we've seen, people we know, patterns we've seen, cultural information that we have from literature, from the stories, from the things our parents told us, from the histories we learned, all of that from television shows, which is kind of unfortunate given the world television shows give us. But we use all of that as experience automatically, fast. And we reach some judgments in the absence of better information and use that to interact with people. We do this pretty automatically in most cases. Our minds use these patterns and frameworks very quickly. We're not even aware of it. Friend or foe. It's necessary to be able to function. So these cognitive miser approaches to person perception, as we call it, are incredibly useful and absolutely important, fundamental. But they're also obviously limiting. They lead to misinformation, and they can be dangerous. Dangerous to us, and dangerous to the people we work with. When we talk about stereotyping, you knew I was going to go here, we refer to understanding people, treating individual people as though they are simply examples of larger group templates, regardless of how much substance there is from that larger group template. So I might have a stereotype about people because I've dealt with a whole lot of people like that. I might have dealt with every kind of people like that. Or I might have a stereotype because my parents told me stories about particular kind of people, or because my culture tells me particular kinds of people. But I use that experience, and if I treat you as an individual, because I have the stories about the group you are, first of all, it may be that a majority of your group is not like that in the first place. Second of all, it may be everyone in your group minus 2 people is just like that, but you're one of the 2. And so I've just blown it, because I'm using a template that actually is really pretty true in the world, but it doesn't apply to you. And so I've just made a big mistake. So stereotypes limit our world. They make us make mistakes. They make us misperceive people. They make us treat people in inappropriate ways. They make us limit people's options in ways they shouldn't be limited. They make us give people special opportunities they really shouldn't have. They make us not able to see a lot of people for who they are, who they might be, what they might be in our lives, how they might make a difference in our lives. We miss that. They might make us not choose the best lab partner, or potentially the most wonderful BFF. They might make us misjudge safety and danger with other people one way or the other. For all of you who are new in this big university now, with all the experiences that are open to you, all the potential linkages you can make with people who will make a huge difference in your life, and for whom you can make a big difference. This is something to worry about. What can you do to make the difference between being human, being normal, cognitive misers who can function fluently in society using your individual and cultural experiences to guide you, and on the other hand, being an individual who in some critical ways uses group stereotypes to distort your social interactions, connections, and your potential? Research in psychology gives us a lot of clues. I'm going to help you out of this bag right now. Here are a few quick ideas of what you can do to draw that line and make sure you're being sort of normal cognitive misers on the one hand and cutting off your options for understanding people on the other hand. First of all, be mindful. Mindful. Mindfulness is a term used by some psychologists to refer to the act of awareness. Notice I'm saying the act of awareness. You don't be aware. You act aware. You pay attention. You engage in self-reflection on your most automatic thoughts and reactions in a non-judgmental way, and that's very important. You do self-reflection, not to say, oh wow, have I just been bad? Oh God, I saw this thing, it's so terrible, I'm really bad. That's not useful. You be self-aware in a non-judgmental way to say, how do I think? How do I look at the world? What are my automatic reactions? And what should I do about that? Force yourself into a state of awareness. You can't do it all the time about everything. You can't. You're a cognitive miser for a good reason. But force yourself into a state of awareness. And by the way, being too proud about thinking that you're a good person who would never use biases means that you're more likely to use biases than other people. Very interesting kind of thing. Don't be proud about being clean and good, because you'll get yourself into trouble. 2, think about right and wrong, about ethics, about what principles you think should lie at the basis of how you treat other people as people. And when you catch yourself thinking things or doing things you think are not right, and you will catch yourself thinking things and doing things that you think are not right, then don't get in a big twist about it. What you should do is think about what you want to be, where you are, where you want to go, and how to get there. Watch your automatic mental reactions and think about rethinking and reflecting on how you want to see the world and think about it. Psychological research again shows that not only can we teach ourselves acts we think are right, we can actually train our minds if we have a strong sense of ethics. And we see ourselves screwing up in the way we think about people. We can catch ourselves, train ourselves, make ourselves aware, and make ourselves live according to the ethical principles we think are right. We can do that, but you have to work hard. And third and finally, reach out beyond your comfort zone in getting to know people. Expand your experiences with different kind of people. If we use our past experiences to fill in the blanks when we don't have information, that is the cognitive misers in us, think about how much smarter you're going to be if you give yourself a whole lot more experience with a whole lot more people. You'll be so smart. But do be careful about walking out late at night, okay? To learn more about this, there are courses in psychology, in history, sociology, education, on cognition, social perception, the history of manners and morals, philosophy, a lot of courses you can take to learn more.